I thought I'd record my first video blog and post it to the site on a not necessarily on a off topic, I guess. I'm intending to try to use these more and maybe get into how-tos and how things are done and etc. But I thought that I would just do the first off of the latest issue of W that I got. Seen here with Rooney Mara from The Social Network, who's going to be in the New Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movie. And it bothers me, so I thought that I would share my reasons why. Normally, I would not say that I'm in the business of defending characters or explaining them, and books allow you an open interpretation to a character, but the Americanization, I guess, or Hollywood version of this character, I knew was going to be bad, and this issue kind of proves it, so I thought that I would kind of go through and list why. So first, the magazine has a new editor, and he came into the helm a few months ago, and his first issue is very glossy. I think he's an Italian guy, he has an Italian name, and the magazine is turned into, I guess, the Italian fashion stereotype, which is overly glossy, it's very sexual, and it's not necessarily bad, but I don't think that everything has to have a sexual undertone, and, this article and pictorial included. But yeah, so I had my doubts on this chick when she was picked. I saw a picture of her. She's really sweet looking. She's pretty. I didn't see The Social Network, but, I saw this picture and was like, okay, she doesn't even have a piercing, etc. But I'm actually really impressed because she totally was transformed. They hacked her hair. They gave her piercings. I think it's funny. She said her ears hurt the worst, which, if you've never been pierced before, stretched ears do hurt the worst. I mean, I would rather get anything else pierced and not get my ears stretched, because you go from, like, nothing to a hole in your ear. So I thought that was really funny that she said that. But yeah, they pierced her lip, they pierced her eyebrow, they pierced her nose, whatever. But she has this Salander tattoo across her chest, which you can kind of see, which I think is really kind of debatable. And I should probably warn you that there's some spoilers in here. But I don't think Lisbeth would ever get this tattoo on her chest. They mention in the book a few tattoos that she does have, and obviously she has a dragon tattoo on her back. But her name was not necessarily something that she was proud of. She didn't like her dad, and her mom changed her last name, which I always thought was to be similar to her father's. I mean, she's also a very personal and private person, so I don't think that she would ever put a stamp like that on her body. So that's my first eye roll from this. And the blood, I think, is just unnecessary, but whatever. Yeah, getting into the article, it was interesting. I think the article is actually better than the shoot. They ended up getting David Fincher to direct it. He did Seven, what else? Fight Club, etc. So clearly he's kind of like a feisty type guy, so it makes sense. But I think the sad thing here is, like, he actually in this defines whether he makes movies or films, and I think that this book could have really been made into a film. I think that the Swedes got it down pat. It's really close to the book, and, they had to cut and edit things out just for length purposes, otherwise these movies could have been like 6 hours each. But they really stayed true to the book, and these things just look like they're on the course to be a film, and it's frustrating because if you want, or a movie, like, if you want to have a film, you have to trust your audience a little. You have to trust that they'll get it, and they're there with you, and they know what's going on, and despite the fact that these books are smash sellers, it's just not gonna happen. So, I think it could be due to Larson's style. He's got an interesting writing perspective. I think part of it's the translation from Swedish into English, but I just think that, like, he doesn't have, like, a very, like, American way of writing, in the sense that it's not bam, bam, bam. It's intense in terms of the violence in it, and it is graphic, but they're just addressed incredibly calmly, and he just doesn't, he makes the big deal by not making a big deal. So, they mention in this article, too, that the plot and the ending are substantially changed, which I thought the book was pretty good. I don't know why you had to change it, but we'll see how it goes. I knew that it was already going to be bad, so we'll see what happens here. But, yeah, onto the actual spread. From an actual standpoint, a fashion standpoint, it's cool. It gets old seeing the same, typical pretty models all the time, wearing the same things, doing the same things, and it makes the people that feel like they have a little bit of a rock and roll edge in them, they're not counted and considered. So, to that point, it's covered, it's cool, but from an actual character standpoint, it's too polished, she's too pretty. The article mentions she would own ripped stockings, low garter belts, and skin-tight leather. No. She's grungy. She's grungy in the way that I haven't really seen grungy in a long time. Hipsters aren't grungy. I think there's a lack of true grunge, I think. I mean, maybe you can find it in pockets. I'm probably not looking in the right spaces, but she wore grungy, immature t-shirts with silly things printed on them, like "I'm a bitch, don't talk to me." She probably has only 2 pairs of jeans that she wore to death. The boots she wore, I think, are sometimes out of necessity, and yeah, they look kind of tough too. She probably stinks of cigarettes, but I mean, she never, a garter belt? Just W would never understand this character. I mean, how would a fashion person ever understand that character? But to put in a spread that she wears a tutu is ludicrous, because I would never wear a tutu, probably. And this girl, I would be deathly afraid of meeting or really pissing this girl off. But it's just, the whole thing is frustrating because you see piercings and tattoos and mohawks, and the only way that W can interpret them is as a fashion, in a fashion way. It's a trend. It's not just part of who you are, and I think that people don't realize that we don't all come out of the womb accepting what we looked like just this way, and that piercings and mohawks and dyed hair help complete the way that you are. They're just not an accessory for your person. They just are. And Salander's character understood this and used it to her advantage in her trial in the 3rd book, because she went over the top, and they say that she wore, crazy lipstick and eye makeup and etc. And she's just essentially, she's mocking the straight-laced people, and dare I say the editors, the fashion editors at W, who could never understand what type of person she is. And yeah, they just illustrated it with the latest issue. So if you're interested, pick it up. I mean, it's worth a glance. I think the article about the movie was interesting, but yeah, that's all. Bye.